bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate the world, peaches ripe.
Like,
Oh my
I mean,
god.
God's just like serving.
They
That's
were
just
Would you say
justice.
babies,
it's
dude.
wrong? Would you say it's wrong to kill children?
Um, that's like that really depends on the scenario.
Really?
Yeah. So like,
Why?
okay, so let me ask you this. So if you're God, right? Or no, I can't even phrase it like that. But let's say you have like an option, right? You're either gonna so like this entire village is evil. You can kill them, or you can like I guess let them live, but like that wouldn't be justice. But like the babies, when it comes to like the children, you either leave the children there where they're like gonna be subject to like the horrors and I guess like just like evil that's existent within nature, or you can like I guess like end their worldly lives and like bring them to heaven, which I think there's like a doctrine to support that innocent children and like babies go to heaven if they die.
So
Can I give
then,
you an analogy or like a scenario?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are two children playing outside, and the mother is watching them. Mother of one of the children. Not important. And one of the kids pulls a knife out and stabs the other child. Who's at fault?
Like who's at fault for like the
Would it
action
be the
happening?
mother's fault for not intervening when she could, or the child?
Well, I mean, it's like the child's fault for like stabbing the other child.
But the child doesn't really know right from wrong. We could argue that the child who stabbed the other child has an abusive family, and so that's the norm.
Yeah, so I guess like that the parent has like an obligation to intervene.
Right.
Are you saying that
So
like God
why
has an
has God
obligation?
created this reality
Well, I'm
and
sorry, but
has all the power to end all the evil in the world at the touch of his fingertips? So why isn't he held responsible?
yeah, are you saying that like God has an obligation to intervene with the world?
Yes. If he's all powerful, yeah. Why didn't
Yeah,
he
so I
intervene
mean, you
when
don't.
I was being essayed by a pastor?
Yeah, so I mean, like if you put it into like perspective and like let's say like this God exists and he's like all he's like almighty and like I guess like worthy of like infinite worship. Like you wouldn't it wouldn't it kind of be like absurd to say that he has an obligation?
Okay, this goes back to the conversation we were having of an abusive relationship here. Because what I lived through while totally following and being devoted to God and him doing nothing about it is abusive. It is just as wrong as that mother watching that child being stabbed when she had time to not to intervene and stop that from happening.
Yeah, but then again, like I'd have to ask you, like, do you think all humans are evil?
I believe morals, good and evil, are subjective.
Yeah, but whether like regardless of like the nature of morality, do you think that all humans are evil?
no, I
No,
don't think there's
I think
such a
they have the
thing.
potential to be good or evil, and I don't think anything's black and white.
Yeah, but I mean, we can go like testimony by testimony. Like I think each person has done something bad, which is like if you put it on like I guess like the moral standard of the Bible, that's deserving of like infinite punishment. Because we have a just
Okay,
God
how
working here.
does 100 years on this planet justify my eternity?
Yeah, so if God is like the standard for morality, right? And to obey God is that which is good, and to disobey God is that which is bad, right? Wouldn't disobeying God be like the worst form of evil that exists?
No, I'm just saying, how can 80 to 90 to 100 years be
Yeah.
justified on how I live my life to determine eternity? They're not
Yeah,
balanced.
well, yeah. What I'm trying to get at is that even though it may seem like a finite time that we live here on Earth, that doesn't mean that it's like a finite sin, right? Because like what I was getting at is that if you sin against God, that is the worst thing that you can do. Like that is the most evil thing you could. There's nothing more evil than disobeying God. So it's only like deductive that you should like I guess like
So
have
God,
infinite
God
punishment for
says
that.
to kill your children, you would kill your children.
Well, we'd have to operate on like the presupposition that killing children is good, and I don't think we want to go there, right?
Well, he
You didn't
told
answer her
didn't he tell
question.
Moses to kill Midianite children?
Yeah, and Moses. Oh wait, well, you said our Midianite children?
The Midianite children?
Um,
Didn't he
yeah,
command Moses to kill them?
yeah, and he probably had good reason to do so.
Well, it was a punishment to the Midianite children. So, see, for me, I think killing kids is bad. If I look at my moral compass, there's no real circumstance where I would say killing kids is ever good. And the fact that
Mhm.
you say, well, if God tells me, then it's righteous, makes it subjective.
Yeah, but if we're going down this route, I'm the only one here with like an objective standard, right? Right now, what you're
That's
saying is
not
like
an
practically
objective
meaningless
standard.
to
Why
me.
do you think you're so right? Why do you
No, so
believe
hold on.
that you're
No,
no,
I would
no.
like
I
him
want
to
to ask this
answer.
question.
I would like him to answer my question. Like, would you kill your kids if God told you to?
Yeah, go ahead.
What are like the consequences of me answering this?
I don't know. I guess you should ask God.
It says a lot
No,
about
I mean
you
like
as a
like
person.
what are you trying to get out of me like answering
Your
this?
moral compass.
Yeah, so that like our moral compasses presuppose God, right? So that's why I asked like in response to that question, like are we operating off the assumption that like we're presupposing that killing children is good?
No, I think killing children is bad.
Yeah, so then God wouldn't like if that's like if we're operating off the assumption that like killing children is like objectively bad, then God wouldn't command it. And I know He did
But
it in the
he
Bible, but He had good
But
reasons
he's
to do
already
so.
commanded it before.
He
Yeah,
commanded Abraham to kill Isaac, and then, right before it was just like, hey, just kidding. And he commanded Moses to kill the Midianite children. So yes, God has commanded that.
yeah, but then again, there was like a difference between like that I guess situation in the Bible and like the current question that you asked me, because the question that you asked me, we're operating off of the presupposition or the assumption that like killing children is inherently like objectively evil, but it's not actually objectively evil unless you can prove that. But you don't even believe morality is objective, so you can't even prove that either.
I think
You
my
still
morality
haven't
is
answered
objective.
Lindsay's
I think my
question.
morality is objective. I think yours is subjective, because I think you would agree that killing kids is bad. But
Yeah, so
I think that you would kill your kids if God told you to. Therefore, it's subjective because it changes based on what God tells you to do.
yeah, so I don't think we have like individual perfect moral compasses. That's like that's where like the whole
But
I
you
guess like
believe
story
yours
of like
is
eating the
because it's in the
fruit of
Bible
good
and
and bad.
derived from God.
No, so yeah, what I'm arguing is that like morality is objective, even though I have an imperfect understanding of it, right?
Right.
You
So
still
is
haven't answered
killing
Kenz's
children
question.
good or bad?
I'll play devil's advocate. If I said it was bad, how would you respond to that? Oh no. If I said if it was good,
I
how
would
would you respond to that?
agree. I would not be shocked, I guess. I don't know. I talk to a lot of Christians, and there's a lot of weird moral hills they die on.
Yeah, so like how would you disprove that?
Disprove that it is bad to kill kids?
Yeah. Or disprove that it is good to kill kids.
How would I disprove it? With what kind of evidence would you be looking for? Because really anything we talk about would essentially be kind of a social construct. If you want to go into scientific reasoning or philosophical arguments, we could, but that would be essentially where we would go when it comes to my morality.
Yeah, so I guess like what I'm asking, what standard do you have to show that like killing kids is like or just wrong?
That killing children is wrong?
Yeah. What standard would you have?
What would be the benefit? Essentially,
so you're saying that like
you are killing a being that most likely has committed. I mean, I don't think killing, murdering in general is good. And now you have the aggravated offense.
Yeah, so are you arguing that like...
Go ahead.
Oh, are you arguing that like, because you said like what would it benefit? Are you arguing that like, are you arguing for utility?
I'm saying that usually when we look in the ethics of killing, that there is some sort of reason that people do kill. So in the reason of self-defense, it could be to protect their own lives. It could be to protect their bodily autonomy. It could be because it's not a person or thing that we give moral consideration to. And in the events of killing a child, I don't see any of those coming into play. So I would find it unethical.
Yeah, so you're saying that it's unethical because it doesn't benefit anything.
Well, the reasons I just gave you. That there
Yeah, so
isn't a reason that would have a just outcome.
Yeah, so I guess like this goes into like your definition of good. That which is like good is that which has a just outcome.
In this circumstance, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, like the issue with that is I view that as like kind of like circular reasoning. Like you're like just and good are synonyms, so it doesn't get us anywhere. If you're trying to define good as that which is just, it's like me saying like if good and just are synonyms, you can replace just with good. So it's like saying good is that which is good, and it doesn't. It doesn't lead us anywhere into understanding what good is. Do you see what I mean?
You know,
Yeah.
you've been talking a lot, but you still haven't answered Kenzie's question.
What was the question?
Oh my God.
If God
Is
commanded
killing
you,
kids
would you
bad?
kill your children? And is killing kids bad?
Yeah, but we already went through that whole thing, and well, like right now
And
we're
you
talking
still
about like,
didn't answer.
My moral framework, which you said is circular, which I will give you that, but you still haven't given your own.
Yeah, so I think that my moral framework, I try to base it off of the Bible, and that because I think that's where like the objective standard exists, or not in the Bible, but like God is that objective standard. He's like the moral referent, the thing that we refer to like understand morality and good and evil, right? Do you like could you provide me with a moral referent?
So if you're saying
Could
your
I
morals
provide you
are
with a moral
prescribed
record?
from God and God killed children, would it be
My
right for me to
moral framework
assume?
is based off of scientific reasoning and philosophical arguments. But we're talking about your moral framework when it comes to religion, and that you base it off God and the Bible. So I'm just asking you point blank if, morality is objective according to you, is killing children evil?
Yeah. So, but the issue with this is that if I said yes, there'd probably be like a reaction of disgust here. But the thing is, that reaction of disgust comes from like a moral standard we don't even know of. So it'd be like an absurd reaction, right? Do you understand what I mean?
I think it's safe to say that killing an innocent child is wrong.
I think
Yeah,
you
but
don't
safe
want
based
to
off of what
answer
standard?
because you realize that your morality is subjective. Because I think, yes, we can all agree that it is immoral to murder children. But I give you examples where God has commanded that, and I'm sure you would agree that it's righteous.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that like morality is like if I have an opinion on something, that doesn't make it subjective. Like I already responded to that saying that like you can have an opinion on math, but that doesn't make math subjective. You can have an opinion on whether or not the sky is
So
blue,
how
but
can you
that doesn't mean the
support
color
your
of the sky is
moral
subjective.
framework being objective if you can't even answer basic yes or no questions?
Well, it's because we're operating off of different frameworks that won't lead us anywhere.
Well, we're going right now off your framework.
Yeah, so off my framework, that which is good is whatever God commands. So if God did command that, like me to kill my children, then that would be good.
All right.
Yeah. So then I'm assuming you probably disagree with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now we get back to the question of like, what is your standard then? Like, what can you define good? That's a simple way of putting it.
I don't think it's necessarily as binary as you make it out to be, that situations are black and white. I mean, do you think that there are decisions and scenarios in life where they're just indifferent? They're neither good nor bad?
Like neutral?
I wouldn't even
sorry.
say, sure, neutral. They're just indifferent.
Yeah, I think some things like neutral in our eyes, but I think it's all like either good or bad. Like you can like we can take something as like seemingly neutral as like a pencil existing, right? We wouldn't necessarily call that good or bad. But the reason I believe that like it's only good or bad is because like if God created it, like God, like then it's good.
So then sin is good.
No,
Didn't God create sin?
Why?
well that wasn't his like his plan. That's not part of his will. I guess I should have clarified it saying that like if God willed it.
But didn't he
But
create sin?
he would have to will it in order to bring Jesus or a savior to cleanse the sin, right?
Well, Jesus was like a plan for redemption, so like that thing wouldn't have happened if like we
No,
stayed
your
good.
argument is if he wills it, it will happen, right?
Yeah.
Sin happens, right?
Yeah.
Sin needed to happen in order for Jesus to come, right?
Yeah.
Then God willed sin into the world.
No. So sin came about through our own free will. But Jesus was just a plan of redemption for that sin.
Dude, you just said God created sin.
No, when?
Oh my God. Just now. You said God willed sin into the world. He created sin and willed it.
No. What? No, I never said that God created sin or willed sin into the world. I said
Yes, did.
I do not recall that. Someone clipped that and like exposed me, but I literally do not recall me saying that like God created sin. I said like earlier I said God created
So
evil.
who gave us free will?
God.
I thought it was the devil.
Where wow,
Because didn't he make Eve eat the apple?
yeah, so he used
And
Eve's
isn't
free will.
that what gave us free will?
Well, the fruit gave us like a better understanding of like good and evil, but it didn't give us free will. Free will was given by God. Satan just used free will to like bring evil into the world.
Right, to show Eve that she had free will and that she could essentially make her own decision regardless of what God said.
Yeah.
Right, and didn't God create Satan?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be good, even though it was against God's will?
Hold on. I think we're now this is mental gymnastics. It's that just because God created Satan does not mean that like God is the reason Satan is evil, right? Because Satan has free will
Well,
and God
you said he
has free
created
will.
it.
God doesn't control it.
He created Satan, and everything God creates is good.
Yeah, but Satan wasn't created with evil. Satan just chose evil out of his own free will.
But God created free will, you just said.
Yeah.
So he created Satan and created free will, so those must be good. And therefore Satan enacting his own free will is good as well.
Yeah, if his will is perfect or if his will is good. But it's not necessarily that that like it's a free will, right? It's not like necessarily like a good will.
But he created
Yeah, but the properties of I guess let me clarify. The properties of goodness or of good and bad are like they come from your nature, not from your will. Your will is just like it's derived from your nature, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't understand why you keep saying, okay, so if the knowledge of good and evil was so bad, that would mean that God had to be held accountable for what is good, right? If he gave you the roadmap on what is good and what is evil, yet God is responsible for all the badness in the world too, because everything's created through him, right?
Yeah.
So why would you say God is good?
Well, that's just like the biblical definition.
I'm saying when Eve ate the apple and we know what is good and what is bad,
Yeah.
and you hold up the actions that God has done, how can you say that is good?
That how can I say that is good that he created the tree with the fruit of like the knowledge of good and
No.
evil?
No. when he's called for the murder and genocide of whole groups of people,
Yeah.
how can you say that that is good just because he is God?
Well, that's because my definition of good is God, right? Like, how can you say that isn't good?
So you would say murder and genocides of whole people are good.
Well, murder and genocide have like evil implication. Like the words are like the definition of murder is like an unlawful killing, and God like can't unlawfully kill someone, right?
So what did they do that was so bad that they would deserve genocide?
Yeah. So genocide also has bad. I'm pretty sure genocide also has like bad implications within the definition.
What would you
I would
call it
apply-
then? The killing and slaughtering?
Yeah, like a mass killing. But we would
That
agree.
does semantically sound better, doesn't it?
Yeah. Would you say like killing is inherently evil?
I believe there are ethics in killing.
Yeah, but it's not inherently evil.
And are you saying it's inherently good?
No, I'm just saying.
So when the Bible says thou shalt not kill,
Doesn't it
Yeah.
say thou shalt not murder?
Yeah, more accurate translations say thou shalt not murder, but when it's saying thou shalt not murder, it's saying that like it's like an unlawful killing, right? But it's against God's law. It's not like up to like a country's law.
so God
So
can
God
literally
can't break
say
his
anything,
own laws?
and it would
No,
be moral.
Yeah, God isn't bound by his own laws, right?
But we
Oh.
know the difference between good and evil because that knowledge came from the tree of good and evil.
So it's kind of like a do as I say, not as I do kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean that we
Yeah.
we're positive
But
that.
why
That doesn't
would God
sound like
give
an
us
abuser at
free
all.
will if we could judge what is right and what is wrong,
Wait, hold on. Now you guys are
and then
re-operating
just go
on this.
back on it?
Yeah, but now you guys are like bringing up the assumption again that like God is equal to us, that He isn't superior to us. But that's sort of just a blind assumption that we like treat God as an equal to us, and that like He should therefore be obligated to do the same things as us, and that He can't command us to do certain things. It's just.
But He
It's very.
created reality.
Yeah, but it's just very ignorant to assume that we should treat God as an equal to us, right?
It's very alarming to me
Yeah.
that your moral code comes from someone that says do as I say and not as I do.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch. I'm so fucking cute.